You give an ugly nigga a chance, and then all of a sudden he start thinking that, oh, like he doesn't think I fucked around and got lucky and I pulled this
Baddie,
10 in the contest. He starts thinking, well, like, oh, I pulled one 10, maybe I can pull another one, maybe I can pull a third. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like,
But I also feel like women do this thing where they underestimate the attractiveness of men. I think sometimes they get this sense of like, oh, I've given this nigga a chance, and his head got big, and it's like his head wasn't big just from you. He pulled you because he can pull you. You didn't just make a, you know what I'm saying? So
Right. That's fair.
a lot of times when an ugly nigga pulls a baddie, it's because that ugly nigga can pull baddies, not because she just made a fluke decision. It's like, no, he probably did something that was attractive enough to get you. So
Right. He knows how to talk, have a conversation, funny.
he's tall, he's interesting, he
you-
dressed good.
Yeah.
It's something, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah.
He's the only nigga with a car in your town. Like,
See, that's a red flag. It's a red flag.
I think his name is maybe Rico Strong or something like that. He was on Adam 22's podcast, No Jumper, and he was talking about like some guys or some girls even coming up and he was like, "Hey man, how can I get in the porn?" He's like, "What, are you serious? Like it's easier than ever. Like get a camera, get some girls or somebody that's down and willing to do it with you, and just film yourself, upload it, Pornhub, like y'all was saying, started OnlyFans, Creators do have more control, and then even slightly before that, it's not like they have absolutely no control or say so over who they fuck. Like it's a contractual agreement. And there are guys within the industry that have bad reputations, and girls say, "No, I will not film with this person.
I won't perform with this person."
Yeah, like I'm not filming with him. Like he has a very bad reputation. I've been on sets with him. I know what he's like. No, I'm not doing that. So it's not just.
See, but that seems like a thing that you have to build leverage for. If you're young, fresh, haven't made any money in it, et cetera, I feel like that's a thing that how much power do people really have? Like, I feel like that's why people are going towards the OnlyFans, like worker controlled, creator controlled content, because it's like there's a lot of pressure in those situations for power to just be like, hey, no, like you can say no, but like we're gonna replace you, we're gonna say you're difficult to work with, et cetera, like so. But real quick, let me just introduce the pod real quick. Welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flag, the #1 dating and uninformed sex worker discourse podcast in the universe. It's your boy Eddie, it's Josh, it's Alvin. But yeah, what do you think on that, Josh?
I mean,
okay, fair enough. So I figured that's hot potato.
I wasn't spinning the ball. Just like,
yeah, well, because I said a thing to your thing, so I was like, oh, you can, in response to that bit. But yeah, I just feel like it's
Uh-huh.
I just feel like there's a sense. Go ahead, man. Shit, I thought you didn't have nothing. Hot potato, take it. Baked potato.
I mean, hey, I could think of some bullshit to say off the top of my head, baby. I mean,
that's all I ever do, baby. That's all I ever do. That's the name of the game.
But no, I mean, like, ultimately you are right, but I guess I'm also operating off of more of an optimistic viewpoint, where I believe is your context of viewpoint might be a little bit more pessimistic, because I've seen like those things, a lot of those documentaries as well and whatnot, a lot of those people that try to get people away from the porn industry and how evil they say it is. And I don't take any of that for granted or with it necessarily with a grain of salt, but I also do take into account the people that's like, no, there are definitely some fucked up things that need to change, but overall, you just kind of have to, once you kind of learn how to navigate when you know your worth, or like how to, like, basically when you learn how to navigate this industry, you can't set your own standards, and it is difficult. It is more difficult for women, and I mean, hell, even some men, because if you're a man and you just want to get into porn, you got to do some gay shit, or like it's very difficult just to be like a random unknown guy to get into porn without starting on some gay stuff, or like
Is that true?
Yeah, apparently so.
So you got to do.
That's what I've heard from a couple of different porn stars, and I've seen them like in interviews and whatnot.
Well, yeah, case in point. That's I can't. It's very perplexing because I'm like, I don't think I could get fucked in my ass or fuck a man in his ass. Like, but as work, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it. Gun to my head, maybe, but not
gun to my
money
head.
in my wallet. I don't think I could do it. Gun to my head.
I mean,
sure,
if you had a gun to your head, could you really get hard?
Well, I mean, no, but I'm sure I could open my asshole.
Okay,
Man, I probably couldn't. You're probably right. I probably couldn't get hard if I had a gun in my head. That would actually be crazy if I could. Like, that'd be if I had a fear boner.
Right.
If I was like, say no more.
Oh, you did nobody, but this is my kink.
We both brought the chrome. Hard as a pistol.
Magnums, if you will.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, by the way.
We both brought the chrome.
Okay, let me
The steel.
a little bit of street lingo for you. let's do one of these little Instagram bits. I just thought this one was so interesting. Old boy said, if I wife up a single mother and she calls me her man, she's gonna have to stop asking her baby father for shit. If she's asking that nigga for shit, she's got to call me her friend, because there's no reason you should be asking another grown man for anything if you claim to have a man. If I live in the house, everyone in it is my responsibility as a man. Either he's going to offer shit or we don't need it. That's just me, though. What do we think on that? Yeah.
I think that's just you, my nigga. Like, I mean, that's most certainly not me. And I'll go into it. Because that is complex what he's saying. But what this post is giving me is control. Like, he wants to control his woman and control everything in the home. Like, because think about it. If you're dating or even married to a woman who was a single mom or was a single mom before you, and if the kid's biological father is still in their lives, are you essentially trying to say you're going to try to X this nigga out of the picture so you going to be the sole provider and you have the say-so, the final say-so? Like, if I want to come and pick my kids up, or if I want to offer, like, you know, hey, my ex-girl or my baby mama, if I want to give her $500 to give to my kids or to do something for my kids, I got to go through you to do for my kids when I'm still active in their life? Nigga, please get the fuck out of here. That was giving me control. Like, I kind of understand what he's saying in terms of manhood, you know, being the provider and whatnot, but that sounds a little bit toxic.
I'm mostly where you're at, but I'm like 20% on the fence, because I'm like when he says, like, if you're in my house and we've got to ask another man, there is something about having a solid relationship and trying to build a relationship with a person and because he's talking about them all living under one roof. So this is not just like, you know, boyfriend first 6 months shit. It's like, if y'all live in the same house with the kids all together. I understand not wanting to have like third parties that your family is dependent on. You know what I'm saying? So I think a similar situation is being like, I don't want you to ask your parents for shit while we're in a relationship. I feel like, I don't know if that's crazy, but I feel like that's a reasonable stance to be like, I want us to be independent adults as we form our relationship. And I could see something there. And because he also doesn't say you can't take shit from him. He says you shouldn't be asking him for shit if I can provide it. And if you're building a long-term relationship of like, I'm your partner and I'm on the road towards being the stepfather of these children, then I should be the first stop on that road. So I see where he's coming from there. I think my issue is, I don't think having a new partner or even a stepfather should absolve that other man of being a co-parent. Because if she's having to ask him for shit, that's one thing. But also, it's like, sometimes it's like, but that's his responsibility. Like, he is the biological father of these parents. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt, the baby father. Let's say he does his job. They co-parent, the kids go back and forth in the houses. When you go, hey, these children need X, Y, and Z, it's 3 parents involved. It's a stepfather, a mother, and a father. And all of those people have a responsibility. That's who you go to. So I feel like so I see it both ways, but I think I'm leaning your direction.
My whole thing in response to what you were saying was like, I get what you're saying, but I think there's a huge difference between me asking from a place of need and me asking from a place of principle. Right? I firmly think that there is a principled stance that a man that brought kids into the world should provide for the kids. So like, I'm gonna ask you for your cut. Yes. I don't care if I'm a millionaire. I don't care if I'm a millionaire that is booed up with a millionaire.
You signed up as a co-parent.
I'm asking you for your cut. So I think it's the big difference between like her asking from a place of like, I need my baby daddy to do some shit, versus like, I'm holding my baby daddy accountable for his portion of this contract. I think those are 2 different things. So and without a lot of clarification, I'm going to take some leaps. You know, I can't ask him directly, but I think in the face of that, like, it seems like he can provide, but he still doesn't want her to ask. I'm very much on the side of Josh here. Like, I'm very much on the side that this seems like a control thing.
I didn't quite get this. That last point you made.
Yeah, so I'm assuming, without being able to ask him, I'm assuming that he can provide. I'm assuming that he can make sure that they're good.
Yes,
So
yes.
that I'm assuming that why she would be asking is because she's saying like we have children together. I need this money because we're in this contractual thing. I'm asking you for accountability purposes. So if I'm assuming all of that, then I have no choice but to say I agree with Josh completely that it seems like a control play and nothing else.
So that seems like a little bit of like not giving, because the alternative would be if you assume he can't actually provide and she's asking out of need, then it's also stupid in that way. Like if he can't provide what the father is providing and needs to provide, then that seems like the control option. So it seems like you created a kind of a catch-22, like either way, and which maybe is your point that just either way he's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but then that's fair.
And then like even okay, so say for instance, like if maybe it is a deadbeat dad, right? Like he's not providing and doing for the kids, and she's going to him, to the child's father, be like, no, like I need, like you need to contribute, like I'm saying, like you need to fulfill your end of this deal. Like these are your children. I would honestly respect that woman because like at the end of the day, like I didn't bring them kids. Like as a stepfather, I didn't bring those kids in. Like I'm here for you, and like of course, if I can provide or whatnot, then cool. But as a man coming into a woman's life who has kids, and I have never done this on purpose because I ain't there yet.
But
baby.
see what I'm saying though.
But just let me finish because if even given that context, I would hope that their fathers are still in their lives because there are things that I'm not going to be able to necessarily do. Even though I was raised by my stepdad, but I knew who my real dad was. And like he would pop in and out, like throughout my life every now and then. But I did have my stepdad there who actually did provide for me. So maybe this is a counterpoint to my shit. But I can just only imagine as far as the co-parenting thing, I would want to be able to be in some sort of environment where it ain't no beef, whatever. Like everybody's moved on. Like of course, like you don't expect your baby mama just to be single forever and you doing what the fuck ever you doing. Like be a real man, take care of your kids, be in your kids' lives too. I'm also here, but we're also going to have a rapport so we can work together. That's the ideal situation. I'm not going to try to control this entire situation and try and tell another man what he can't do for his own kids.
No, but that's the thing. He's not saying, because he's not saying what the baby father can't do. He's saying what he doesn't want his partner to do. And I feel like I'm not saying that that's right. Yes.
And he's either going to offer shit or we don't need it. And
exactly.
But that's just me.
And I feel like that's an important clarification. The poster might still be wrong, but we got to clarify. He's not saying if the baby daddy come over here trying to pick up his kids or drop off McDonald's or you got to turn it away. He's not saying that. He's saying I should be the first person you come to as your partner and the active father of these parents, the acting father of these parents, not just their biological, sperm donor or whatever you want to say. Because I mean, it depends on the degree of how far into the relationship they are. It depends on like if he's full stepdad, like they've been together 5-6 years. Is the other father a deadbeat? Because I'm like giving him full benefit of the doubt. I don't think it's controlling to be like, I don't want this other third party who is inconsistent and incapable to be somebody that you depend on in this relationship. It's much. I think there's some validity to that, given lots of context, like lots of context. But I could see a version where it's like that seems like a normal thing to ask you to be like, I'm curious. Like, do y'all think it's controlling to say to have a boundary about where your partner gets certain needs met and how they get certain needs met, and say, no, I want to be the primary person that you do. I want this to be a you and me thing. Because I feel like it's like almost borderline emotional cheating kind of area.
Yeah,
and maybe I'm tripping, so
and maybe it was the way that this post was written.
Sure.
That's giving me a lot of the pause on that, and that made it seem
like
it was
boisterous
very much
in the way
controlling.
he's talking.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
just like, I
it's a lot of all caps
big
and
draws around this motherfucker. Like, what I'm saying? It's
real stepdaddy shit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like I'm the real man in this bitch now. Like, fuck your dad. Like, I'm this, like you gonna respect me. This is my house now. Like, I'm here. I'm the man. I'm the provider now. Like,
there's definitely
nobody else encroaches on my territory. It seems that way, but of course, there are some things I'm not going to want my woman doing. And if she like need She want to get a damn cheeseburger. I don't want you going to your fucking baby daddy like, hey, Jordan, can I get $10? Like, I just need to get some lunch. Like, what the fuck you mean you went to him for that? Like, why you ain't just hit me up?
Right. You don't want your partner hitting up a random man that they have a history to get a ride from the airport or to get, pay for a vacation or any of those things. Those are partner things. I feel like that's very normal to be like, hold up. Why is your ex going grocery shopping for you? What's going on here? Why is he giving you rides? I don't think that's controlling. I think that's normal relationship shit. Though I do be tripping sometimes, so I don't know.
I think you're in the majority here, Eddie. I think you're in the majority here. I think you're on safe ground here.
That's good.
Yeah, with that clarification.
With that clarification, I think you're on safe
Wait,
ground.
which clarification? Or what crazy shit did y'all think you thought I thought?
I mean, like if you bring it to the level of like, are you asking your baby mama for a cheese, your baby daddy for a cheeseburger type shit? If you're asking your baby daddy for fucking, a ride from the airport, I think you're on safe ground with people understanding that most people would be uncomfortable with that level of thing. If I'm saying like, you produce 2 kids and your kids need school clothes, your kids need, $1,000 to get ready for school or whatever. Like, I personally wouldn't give a shit. And I will say that I'm in the minority in saying like, shit, that nigga can be your Uber driver. I don't give a fuck. That nigga can be your Instacart driver. But I know I'm very much.
But
you
understand you're in the minority there. Yeah, because I'm like,
because I don't care if your relationship is 100% like just like that kind of bullshit. If that's where it starts and ends, like I don't give a shit.
Because I feel like it.
But I'm in the super minority on that, and you're in the majority.
Yeah, because it's levels of emotion. It's like I'm not just concerned about who you. And this is kind of like similar to the conversation we were having with FD. Is like there's levels of like what that intimacy is. Like I'm not just concerned about who's got access to your pussy. It's also about access to your heart, to your mind, to your who do you think of as your person in this world. And I do think that can get to a toxic level to where it's like you start encroaching on this person's independence. Mm-hmm. But to the extent that they go to other people for certain things, and also there could be a cutting the isolation kind of thing that I think on the toxic end, it could be like you're cutting this person off from community. So like obviously if her mother or her father is picking her up from the airport, you should be like, bitch, you should have came to me first. But I think if it's somebody who's a potential emotional part or a suitor, not just a friend, then I think there's space to be like, nah, that's crazy. I'm your person for those things. I am the father to these children. I am your life partner. I am your roommate. I'm all those things. So if this nigga's not around, babies need school clothes. That's something that you and I need to figure out first. And if we go, okay, actually, Earl needs to contribute here, then we go there. But it depends on how It depends on how involved the father is.
I think I think that's a huge caveat that we don't really have the answers to. But I think that like I'm comfortable with in that specific scenario where you said here, I'm cool with you calling Earl first and saying like the kids that we entered into this agreement to take care of need stuff.
Yeah,
give me my money, and then if Earl is a deadbeat and doesn't provide that, or then if Lil Jamal needs some fucking Jordan 1s like triple white to go with his khakis or what the fuck ever.
Or if Earl's not a deadbeat, Earl's just got like, hey, look, my job doesn't pay that well. I've got this amount. Then cool. It's 3 parents. It's 3 chefs in this thing. We can all. It don't got to be no adversarial shit. Me, Earl, the woman that we share a history with, like we'll figure it out together because we all care about these kids. So I can, there's plenty of space for that. Only in the condition that it's like we've got this and he's not an active parent. If he's an active parent, you should probably be going to him first. Or like simultaneously with me, because he is. Yes. I am a stepfather, but he is also the father. But I feel like when you're but if I'm the primary father figure in these kids' lives, it makes total sense to go.
The best thing,
I'm first on
the
that
biggest
list.
thing is that the kids don't want for anything. Like I think in that scenario, that's what I. That's the big thing for me. The kids don't need to want for anything. Like anything that we could provide in that situation, I'm all for. But like ask Earl. Have at it. Text him. Call him. Hold him accountable for his end of the bargain.
From a principal perspective, I definitely feel that.
I would like to be notified. I would like to have those conversations with my wife. Discuss that with me too, just to kind of like let me know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean because also like then there's like the decision making process of like if you ask an Earl for shit first, and I'm stepfather to these kids, that creates a situation where you're starting to make decisions about my stepchildren in ways where I'm not involved, which at a certain point becomes inappropriate. Like at a certain point, I am also these kids' father, and so I have an input. Whereas if I feel like if I'm just dating, then it's like cool, whatever you and Earl decide, I'm going to support that. But once I'm stepfather, y'all, we all live in the same house that I pay mortgage on, and I'm making. Oh, well, actually, I think little Timmy should be taking violin, not oboe. And actually, I'm thinking we need to move him to private school, and that should be a conversation. Whereas if you're just going straight to Earl to meet a need, that kind of necessitates that I've been pushed out of that decision-making process for whatever that little thing is. Because I'm like, well, wait a second, why are we taking the kids to McDonald's? That's not good for their health, actually. So no, you don't need to ask Earl for McDonald's money because we haven't had a discussion about what the kid's diet's going to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Damn, it's
so it gets complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated and very tricky because like when you're a step parent,
yeah,
and then like both parents are active. I'm
That's
sorry,
it,
but
yeah.
you got the last say so. Like these are,
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
You know,
I agree. Oh,
who
yeah,
gives
no,
a
I
fuck
agree.
if you want these kids to play violin instead of football, nigga.
Yeah.
This is my son. Like I'm still here, buddy.
If you're, I like how we both like for some reason like you took the biological dad like side and I was like the stepdad for some reason. Like no, nigga, they my kids. Now we arguing. But if I'm stepdad, that's only if you're active. If I do, but if I feel like a third wheel, then cool, y'all can drive. But if I feel like I'm attached to the motor and I'm the one pushing this shit along, then no, I'm glad that you contributed your sperm to this conversation. But no, these are my kids that I pay for. We're gonna. I'm doing the heavy lifting. I'm gonna decide where the fuck we go.
Yeah, for sure.
So it depends. But if you got it, you got it. I'm not on no rah puffing my chest alpha male shit. It's like no, them your kids. I'm here to support. I love this woman that is your co-parent. I'm here to just add resources to what y'all are doing. Cool, not an issue.
Whoa, time out.
What?
Is this not an alpha male podcast?
Pause. I didn't mean to say it like that. This is an alpha male podcast. I'm an alpha recognizing another alpha in that moment.
I need
you know what I'm saying? That's double red. That's red on both sides pills. No, that's a double capsule red pill. That's don't worry, brother. It's the the Tylenol that's got the 2 in the one little thing. You know what I'm talking about? Real nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? Grind set.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that tweet that was like, "Don't date the guy who's been after you for years"? That I sent through.
Yeah.
Do you have context to kind of what's being talked about there?
Look, I got the context, but why don't you tell me what happened so I can see if you got the context?
Because you're right, I don't be having context sometimes. I'm just thinking of it being the guy who's been around in the cut for a little while and who's been maybe pursuing you, maybe like in the friend zone, which baggage around that term obviously, but in the friend zone type vibes, and then kind of like giving him a chance is what I'm thinking of. Like in the comments, I'm seeing like 10 full years of asking me out, which wild. Ellipsis, 4 beautiful years of being in a relationship with him, 2 years of marriage, and now we are pregnant. Is one of the comments of somebody disagreeing with the initial tweet. Did I get it right, Alvin?
Believe in yourself, King. You don't need my validation.
Red pill shit.
Damn.
Red pill shit.
Damn, validate yourself, nigga.
Damn, Alvin Peterson. Real nigga shit. AP calculus out here.
I don't think that's necessarily a fair statement to make. Of course, it's Twitter. Niggas just be.
They just let something fly and then people argue about it.
There's no standard procedures for how a relationship starts, which will lead to 100% a successful relationship, long-term marriage, or long-term just being happy together. Like it doesn't work like that because like of course you have instances where somebody's been chasing this person for a long time, like they've always been around, like they've been wanting to get with this person, they finally have their opportunity, it could work out. And of course, just like with anything else, with any other relationship you've been in, shit probably ain't gonna work out. That's just like saying don't ever date a motherfucker you just meet out in public.
Yeah.
Never do that again. Like how many niggas you dated at school? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
every time somebody says, "Oh, don't do this," or like, "Don't accept the bare minimum," or "Don't give these niggas a chance," or whatever, and and they give one example of how it turned out, but it's like there's no guarantee that it would have turned out proper if you didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like every relationship has some bullshit in the way that it starts. So I never found those arguments very compelling. But it seems like.
No, go ahead.
Well, it seems like most of that. Most of the pushback seems to be from men who are like she's trash for circling the block. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I actually agree.
We were going the same place. We were going the same place. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree to an extent that that's trash, and that's the thing that makes it trash. But I also think, like, it depends on the level of obviousness, because everybody circles the block. That's what all dating is. All dating is measuring your, because nobody is with who the fuck their first option was. Because otherwise, Rihanna would be dating 150,000 niggas. That's not how any of this works. Everybody chooses and they partner up and they go, "Ooh, you're hot? Do you like me? No, you're hot. Do you like?" You go down the list until you get somebody that's hot enough and they like you back. And then we all do that until we're kind of all paired up, more or less. You know what I'm saying? Stable marriage problem type vibes. So acting like she's evil for like finally realizing that you were the best choice is like, well, nigga, you should have been a better choice then. Now, that said, once you realize that you're settling for a person or that you spun the block to like go back to them, if you treat them like you're doing them a favor because you spun the block, then I'm on these niggas' sides. Then that's a problem. But otherwise, if you treat this person with honor and respect and understand that not only were they the best that you could do, they were the best that you could do. So you need to be, you need to honor that situation as well. So I'm like, that's every relationship. Every relationship is, going through some dicks and some pussies and then being like, oh, I had what I wanted all along. The power of friendship. I feel like that's normal shit.
Right. You were always in front of, right under my nose.
It was always you.
I didn't realize until now.
Until I went through 17,000 dicks, and it's like, fuck, that's what life is, man. Shit.
Are we doing the thing where we're like 100% in agreement again?
We on some. Yeah, this is elevated mindset shit. The
God
vibrations,
damn.
wavelengths.
Fuck.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Electromagnetic.
Yep, that's the
We
show.
here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. We
I'm
we
just
have
fucking
we
with
have
you.
informed
But
y'all
no,
of
but
what the
seriously.
fuck is going on.
Yeah, but seriously, no, I agree with you 100%. Like, I could not have said it better.
But I think how you do it makes a difference. I think giving a nigga a chance after 4 years, you need to finesse it in such a way that he doesn't feel the burden of being your last choice. And I think that requires elegance, that requires a finesse, that requires coming to the when you say yes, say it with your chest. Don't be like, okay, I guess I'll give you, like, when you say yes all the way and give it a solid go. Because niggas do the same thing. Niggas do the same thing. They be, fuck buddy, fuck boying, on and off with this girl that they know is in love with them, fucking her on and off, going and get a girlfriend, come back, fuck her a little bit, and then 4 years of doing that, and they go, fuck, I think maybe we might should get married.
She down. Like,
She
must
done
really
been here
care
through.
for me. Like,
She done been here through Sheila. She done been here through Rhonda. She done been here through Cheryl. And then you go, oh fuck, it was her all along.
My bullshit. Like, I can't believe I never realized. I just wish I would have realized it sooner. I could have saved myself an STD.
Exactly, and a couple of babies. I gotta have babies with somebody that I actually liked. So yeah, but a lot of women also seem to be on some like, he won't honor you, and I'm like, he's a bad choice. That like most of the disagreements are men, but the women who are arguing that like the nigga that you didn't like, I feel like that nigga will be very grateful. Like 9 times out of 10, I feel like, do not take this person for granted. But like, hey, there are some perks involved with a nigga that's been after you for a while.
Yeah, I guess maybe she might have been speaking more so towards after that honeymoon phase is over. Because, of course, there's always going to be that period of like, oh, my God, I finally got it. I got you. I'm so happy. Like, I'm going to treat you like a queen. And then, when you get settled in, comfortable, maybe
he start thinking about all the other niggas he was fucking while you wasn't choosing him, and he start to get a little bit resentful and shit. I can see that.
Yeah, it's just like when they say, when women be like, I'll never date ugly men again because they treated me worse than anybody. They would treat me worse than anybody else,
Or it's like, man, you give an ugly nigga a chance, and then all of a sudden he start thinking that, oh, like I fucked around. He doesn't think I fucked around and got lucky and I pulled this
Baddie,
10 in the context. He starts thinking, well, like, oh, I pulled 110, maybe I can pull another one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can pull a third. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like things that run through the minds of immature niggas does not surprise me, but I do think that if you find a guy, at least in that initial phases, you can find a guy in that situation where he's just like really grateful that you gave him a shot. So you shouldn't abuse that, to Eddie's point. Like, you shouldn't abuse that. You should understand that, like, you guys may have just found each other at the right place at the right time, and make it work. 'Cause
That's
I think
how it
that,
should be phrased. We found each
yeah,
other in the right point in each of our lives, as opposed to like we was both spinning the block trying to find somebody better, and this is all we could get. You don't
Yeah.
got to frame it like that. It's like no, we both found each other when we were in the right place to be with one another. But
because
and
I 100% agree with like right place, wrong time kind of like ethos. Sometimes it's just not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just not.
Right.
I haven't gotten enough pussy to be a good man to you yet. I gotta fuck a little bit before I can really show up and be a husband to you. Like I'll see you in a decade after we done fucked
Well,
around
damn,
a little
nigga,
bit.
I was thinking about focusing on your career or something. Like you ain't have to
Nah,
make
I'm
it
still
about
broke.
like
I'm
being
still
a
your
broke.
emotional
I'm still
state.
broke.
Yeah.
I'm still broke, but I can eat pussy a little bit better. So you're welcome. This is what I have on offer. You know what I mean? Give me another
Yeah.
10 years. I have a career too, and then we can.
Give me another 10 years.
I'll spend the
ready to
block
eat
in
the
20
pussy
years, and I'll
I
be
have
ready.
A solid job.
Exactly. Yeah.
see you next lifetime type
Yeah.
shit. You know. What
In the
I'm saying?
meantime,
Like,
can I
you know,
borrow your car, baby? Like, but
Yeah.
I'm not
and
sure
the
how I
Nissan
feel
Altima
about
with
that
AKA
whole like.
plates,
Yeah, yo, 100%. I feel like the whole like don't give ugly niggas a chance thing is like I'm not sure because I've heard it said a lot. So if women are saying that's their experience, I'm taking that with some seriousness because I've heard a lot of women say that kind of thing. But I also feel like women do this thing where they underestimate the attractiveness of men, where they think of a nigga as an ugly nigga. Like there's this whole trend of talking about like, oh, I can't believe the things that I've done for like a medium ugly tall white man with brown hair, and it's like y'all are forgetting like bitches like that nigga. You know, like you're acting like you've given like a dork a chance, and it's like no, he's ugly hot, and a bunch of other women think he's ugly hot. You're not unique. You haven't gone really to the bottom of the barrel. You've just gotten somebody you thought was bottom of the barrel, but 20 other motherfuckers had the same idea. So
yeah.
I think sometimes they get this sense of like, oh, I've given this nigga a chance, and his head got big, and it's like you weren't the only little something on the roster. His head wasn't big just from you. He pulled you because he can pull you. You didn't just make you know what I'm saying? So
Right. Yes.
that kind of colors it, and I think there's which is like a point I made before of like a lot of times when an ugly nigga pulls a baddie is because that ugly nigga can pull baddies, not because she just made a fluke decision. It's like no, he probably did something that was attractive enough to get you. So
Right. He knows how to talk, have a conversation, funny.
he's tall, he's
Keep him-
interesting, he dressed good,
Yeah.
he's something. Yeah,
Yeah, like
He's the only
you
nigga with
could
a
have
car
had
in your
better-
town,
Just
like-
a better looking guy, but it was maybe in an overall.
He's the
package.
only nigga with a car in your town.
Yeah, that's crazy.
it happens. It happens. Because I definitely think that there's bits of women underestimating the attractiveness of their own partner to other women, but I think there's also a little bit of what you're saying as well that's true, which is where a guy he calculates his own attractiveness based on the attractiveness of his partner without taking other information into account and goes, she's a 10, so I can get 10s. I'm a 10. And it's like that isn't always exactly correct. But I think that kind of segues well into this next one, which is, am I the asshole for wanting to be monogamous with my wife again? I, 31 male, married my wife, 28 female, 5 years ago. 1 year ago, we started an open relationship. We were happy, but our sex life was getting stale. I would go out with my single friends and feel jealous at all the freedom they had to hook up with women. And I guess I missed being a bachelor, and I began to resent my wife. I understand this is my own problem, not hers. And I suggested to my wife that we should try an open relationship where we remain committed to each other, but we have sex with other people. Emotionally, I'm only with my wife, and I do love only her. I felt like an open relationship was necessary for the survival of our marriage. I'm not a cheater. After a few discussions, my wife agreed to try it. The first few months were great. I hooked up with my coworker who had been flirting with me. We became regular sex partners until she started dating. This is no problem for me because it was only physical. So I installed some dating apps with the intention of meeting women to have sex with. This is where things go wrong. I didn't realize how hard it is to meet women. They either stop replying, don't commit to meeting up, or they turn out to be unattractive. I've only met up with like one other woman and the experience was subpar, and I'm tired of doing this and want to be monogamous again. My wife has also been seeing other men. This is fine, but I'm starting to get a little jealous. I've seen her text and she has so many men talking to her, wanting to take her out and calling her beautiful. Every night she gets dressed up and goes out, sometimes not even coming home until the morning. She says it's just sex and she loves me, but I think it's disrespectful. She didn't make that much of an effort with her appearance when it was just me. I talked to her about ending the open relationship and just being with each other, but she doesn't want to. I think what she's doing qualifies as cheating. If I knew it was going to be like this, I wouldn't have suggested an open relationship in the first place. Am I the asshole?
Yes, you are. You are. I'm sorry, sir. You are the asshole. Yes.
I'm
Just
throwing
because it
this
didn't
back
work
and
out for you, now you want them turntables be turning.
Yeah, because this nigga had one little senorita at the Quick Trip who was feeling. He was like, "Oh, we gotta open this thing up. It's just it's one woman in line, and you want to open the whole club up because it's one person in line? Come on, dude. Very bad plan. He did not think this out at all. He was just like, he saw one pussy in front of him and was like, let me just open my whole marriage up so I can get this one woman. He had no plan after that.
Yeah.
Unsurprising. But I'm gonna shoot him a little bit of I'm gonna shoot him a little bit of bail because I feel like you're supposed to put a little bit of you're supposed to have veto power in a committed open relationship. Generally speaking, that's a kind of a standard practice for ethical non-monogamy, polyamory, that kind of thing. So, not entirely an asshole, but yeah, not entirely an asshole. Because the thing is, he's not saying, like, I don't want you to fuck while I fuck. He's just saying, I want to be fucking. And if I'm not and you're just fucking, this kind of sucks. And he didn't think it out, and he did play himself, I agree. But it's like, he made a miscalculation. But his miscalculation isn't malicious. It wasn't like, oh, I want to fuck, and like you're. It's not like I want to. Wait, which thing are you laughing at, Alvin?
His miscalculation wasn't malicious. Like,
I don't think it was. I don't think it was. It was. He wasn't like, oh, she has to follow different rules than me. He just didn't understand what the dating market was, and he thought us opening it up was an opportunity for us both to have sex, and he just didn't realize that he wasn't going to be able to do that.
And now he wants to veto because the circumstances have changed. Like
Correct,
he's like he
made a mistake, and he wants to. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, man, I think he's 100% the asshole.
Yeah,
I don't think that he.
wholeheartedly.
Like, look, I'm not saying he's not an asshole, but I'm like, we can cool. He's the asshole, but is what's gonna happen next? Sure, he's an asshole for opening it up, then closing it back up. But like, what's next? What are you really
for the reason he did it? For the reason he did it.
Yes, that's why he's the
like
asshole.
It'll be completely different. It'll be completely different in different circumstances.
What's the different circumstances?
So, like, for example, if they open up the relationship and he was like, yeah, man, I'm just knocking them back like left and right, but I realize that this isn't for me and I want to like close the relationship. Like, because I feel like that would be more fulfilling. That's more my speed. Sure. Like, that would be completely understandable. He's like, man, she's just outflanking me right now. Like, she's fucking. Yeah, exactly. Like, she's fucking like prime Shaq, and I'm over here looking like fucking Byron Davis, and like, I just can't fucking do this shit. That's not what I meant. I meant Glenn Davis.
It doesn't matter because I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean big baby Glenn Davis.
I got the gist.
But like, he's just getting outclassed in this dating shit, and now he wants to close the shit. So like, there's no way, there's no circumstance, in my opinion, where he's not 100% an asshole, because he's solely just getting outcompeted. He's solely like is basing it, as you said, on.
But so what? I think that's a miscalculation, but it's like it's not. But so what? Like, yeah, it's dickish, but like, is it? What's the level of dickishness, and is it reasonable to be like, probably the best situation is for them to reel it the fuck back? You know what I'm saying? Like, if my girl wants to go to this is gonna be a terrible fucking mess of an example, but if my girl wants to go to a restaurant, she's like, I've been hearing all about it, it's amazing, I love it, blah blah blah. Oh, my girl's been posting about it on TikTok, and we go, cool. I go, cool. Let's go to the restaurant. We go to the restaurant. We look at the menu, and she realizes that she can't eat any of the dishes because they all have gluten in them. And I'm like, oh, this place is amazing. I actually love it, even though I was kind of resistant to it. This is actually all my favorite shit. I start ordering shit, and I'm eating shit and enjoying it, and she's over there hungry. And she's like, actually, I think I want to go to a different restaurant. And I go, you're a fucking asshole. I feel like that's what this situation is. She's stupid for having not done research on the menu ahead of time. But once she became aware that it's not a mutually beneficial situation, it's not unreasonable to be like, actually, I thought this was going to be a scenario that worked for both of us. Obviously, I came into it for my own self-interest, but with the understanding that you would also benefit. And now I'm not benefiting at all. I'd like to renegotiate the circumstances of the relationship. That's why you opened it up in the first place.
But that's the thing though, because like that's
Actually, I
you
feel
really
like that was a pretty good
screws
fucking
yourself.
example, honestly.
It was a good example. It was a good example, like in terms of, but like the stakes are different now.
Of course.
It's a good example. It's a great
Mhm.
analogy. But the asshole aspect of it, or like that, the hubris of it, is
Oh,
if
definitely.
he would have been, if he would have
played
been getting
himself.
draws, if he would have been getting the amount of draws he thought he would have been getting, or if he would have been sexually fulfilled outside of his relationship like he thought he would have,
Yes.
he would not have given a fuck.
And what's wrong with that?
But say for,
Now, see, if he
real-
did give a
but let me
fuck, then I'd
finish,
be
let me
with you.
finish, though,
Sorry,
let
my
me
fault,
finish.
my fault.
But like if, and say for instance, like if he was still been getting would have been getting draws at the level he thought he was capable of, or would have been able to do, and his wife wouldn't have been, say if it was dry for his wife, would he still wanted to close it?
We don't know. Maybe.
Like, but just think about it though, like, because I don't get that sense because
We don't know
he
because
hurt.
he said
He
my
hurt,
wife
like,
agreed
because-
to it. They had suggestions. He's not a cheater. He went through all of the tick
But the fact
boxes.
that
my
he
Nobody
nigga.
said
thinks
he
that
was a cheater.
she's
We said he
cheating
was an
because
asshole.
she getting played and he's not.
But I'm saying,
is-
why are we assuming that he wouldn't? I'm saying there's no evidence to suggest that if the shoes were reversed and she couldn't find no men to fuck, that he wouldn't be like, okay, let's close it back up. This ain't right. I'm just out here fucking and you not getting this. This ain't really a exchange. Like we're assuming that he wouldn't based off of our idea of the kind of person he is, the fact that he's a man, the fact that he was surprised that he couldn't get play and all that kind of stuff, and we're using that to color what else we think he might do. But we don't
It's
have
a
any evidence for
reasonable
that.
assumption. It is an assumption, but a reasonable one.
I think it's plausible. I don't know that it's
Yeah,
probable.
I mean,
It's a thing
Hey,
that could definitely happen. But
semantics, yeah, it's plausible,
it's
reasonable,
not semantics.
whatever.
Okay. Okay. No, yeah, okay.
What's the
Wait,
difference?
I'm just-
Like, what's the statistical significant difference between plausible and probable? Like,
Well,
That's
exactly.
subjective.
I think, yeah.
That's
I don't
subjective
think
in
it's
and of
more than
itself.
50. Well, yeah.
You know?
Well, but I think you understand my point, though. Jesus.
Let's not go down into a
Christ.
vocabulary wormhole.
Let's not. Let's
I know.
please.
Let's not debase
Damn.
ourselves with word games here. Okay, let's not do that.
Please, Alvin. Fuck. God damn. We know. You know all the words.
But I'm just.
I know
saying.
all the words. Nigga,
Don't
fuck you.
do it, Josh. Please speak.
Boy,
This
I tell
nigga
you,
about to
just throw a
goddamn false
dictionary in between
equivalency
these
my
niggas, and they just-
Appendix B, subsection 8.
Nigga, I was giving you a compliment.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm trying to get like you, my nigga.
Man, that brain be effervescent, my nigga. But
Yeah. Manifest destiny, baby.
I'm just saying, like, it just seems like the hubris is insurmountable.
He's a
Because,
dumbass.
like, it just, and that's why, and this kind of brings up maybe the next talking point of thing.
Mm.
But like, that's why I don't play them games with women, because like, even if a woman might not be as attractive, she could still walk out 10 feet
Absolutely.
outside of her apartment and get dick if she really wanted it.
And I feel like that's an equalizing force, because I've been in similar situations where it was like I was getting more play than the woman, not because I'm like more attractive, but because my threshold for who I'm willing to give dick to is a lot lower than what her threshold is for who she's willing to give pussy to, and that equalized it. So it's like she's like, oh, I can't find anybody to date, and I'm like, well, I can find you 3 or 4 niggas that's willing to fuck you, but you might not like them, and they definitely not better than me. They not niggas like me, so you kind of
Hold up, time out.
kind of
Let's
got food at home. You know what I'm saying? So that's.
I know. Let's deconstruct all of that shit. So one,
let's-
let's start with he was like, I mean, like you can find some niggas. They not gonna be Eddie, but like you can find some nigga. You know what
You
I
got to
mean?
come on home, as the
know.
great Alvin once said. You got to come on home sometimes.
I mean,
It ain't a lot of niggas like
he's
that out here.
He's like Eddie special. Like you can find a non-special nigga to fuck you. But what got me with that was the way you phrased that. Was it seemed like you were willing to play fucking matchmaker in this situation? Like you were like, look, man, I can set you up with a nigga. Like I can set you up with 3.
I can kind of see that. given
They're
the
not gonna be
situation.
me.
I mean,
I don't know
yeah.
if I can find you another me, but I can find
Yeah.
you. I
That's
can find you
that's
Earl.
hard.
Earl
Yeah.
is available.
Earl's cool. He don't really take care of his kids like that, but he cool. He'll give you some nice medium dick.
He's adequate, He's
Yeah,
adequate.
adequate than a motherfucker.
He'll make you feel like you're doing something.
Ain't nobody ever said that Earl was inadequate. I'll tell you that right now. He's known for being his adequacy around the whole town.
Yeah, capital A, capital A.
But the dick inadequate.
Yeah, that's just never the best play is to play that game with a woman.
I agree. That's a dumb plan. That's a dumb plan.
That's like that's unless you yourself is that nigga.
Yeah.
You him, you like that? That's they will beat us oftentimes. And hell, even if you are that nigga, she could still get the nigga that might be your equal, especially if it's just sex. If it's just sex, like at least your equal or better.
Oh yeah. If we talk just sex, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's you'd be surprised how special an individual nigga can be. Like I think you got to give men a little bit more credit than you. Like I agree with your general point, but I think you got to give a little.
That's not what I was saying. That's no, because like there's something irreplaceable about the person that you love or the person that you hold most dear. That's why I said if it's just sex.
Oh, she can.
If it's just sex,
she can always.
And she will beat you out of that damn near every time.
I guess what I was getting at is that in that special element, I feel like it's even just sex because it depends on how the woman is set up. Because some people, they're not really going to be say again. Some people are not going to be set up to have sex with just anybody who's a hot nigga or whatever. So if they're emotionally attached, if they're emotionally interested in you, if they find you interesting, compelling, whatever, that might be a little bit harder to find. Not impossible though, and obviously her odds are probably still better than you. But it's like Alvin, like you said, you've run down your stats list. If a woman is with you because you're a bar guy, not a club guy, I feel like you actually have a lot more leverage than you think in that situation, than a person would think in that situation, than even the club guy. Because the things that make you unique take a lot more work to get to see. So if she's seen all that, she's got to do that same amount of work to find another nigga that she wants to fuck the same type of way that she wants to fuck you. That's a big limiting factor that I think gets underestimated.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Depends on the woman.
It takes a while to find another Alvin, even if it is just for sex, is what I'm saying.
Of course. Like, there's only one of whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? But once again, like, I know, like, women, because women are not monolithic, and neither are men. But, like, there's kind of, they might be a little bit more guarded with who they give the box to. And, of course, like, that might.
Hugely.
Oh, yeah, but last time we said that shit, and on TikTok, you know how these people be on the old TikTok.
Oh my God, men just don't think women are sexual beings. Like, we just don't want to fuck just to fuck.
I will say,
You
though,
just can't get wet.
Come on.
I was the pushback on the way that was framed.
Okay.
I was 100%. No, you remember when we were having that conversation about the fact that, like, women desire sex as much as men, and there have been, like, several studies that say that, like, if it wasn't coming with the same social baggage, then that they will probably have sex as much as as men do. In multiple studies that's been confirmed. So I get what you guys are saying, and I think that, like, the way we're contextualizing it right now is different than that particular, like, conversation. But I did 100% push back on the way that was framed when we had that conversation the last time.
Just to revisit that one, because maybe we're on some armchair red pill, like, pseudoscientific bullshit. Were those studies? Yeah, look, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of like anecdote. Well, everybody knows this thing, and it's like, nah, that's actually just some bro science bullshit that really isn't backed up by anything. So I try and correct those things over time. But, like, with those studies, are those studies about the amount of sex that women want to have across several studies, or is it like, because when I think of the studies, I'm thinking of, like, pictures or, like, interactions and going, like, here's 10 men, and maybe I already asked you this question, I can't remember, but here's 10 men. If there weren't social pressures on you, would you fuck 9 of them, or how?
It was number of partners. It wasn't amount of sex.
So
I'm sure there have been studies on amount of sex. Yeah. Because that also makes sense, because they're, like, libido studies and all that kind of situation. But I'm thinking about the studies I'm referencing. It's literally number of partners.
But okay, and in those questions, and sorry to, like, if you don't have the breakdown of what the actual fucking abstract for this thing, that's fine. But if you do, were they giving them randomized samples to test for selectiveness, because that's what we're talking about, selectiveness, not number of partner, because that was a big distinction that we were making when we had that conversation.
So in
You,
in
like,
those
10
studies,
hot niggas definitely, but 9 out of 10 randomly sampled niggas, I don't know.
yeah, and I think in that context, that's why like I'm fine with the context like of this particular episode, because I think that's more what it's about in this particular context. I think in past context, it was mostly about number of sexual partners.
That
So
we were talking
no,
about. Okay, yeah,
yeah. So in this particular context, it can be about selectiveness, because I think women, anthropologically, that makes all the sense in the world for women to be more selective. But as far as like number of sexual partners, it was basically anonymous surveys on like, would you do like XYZ in this situation if nobody would find out, was the anonymous survey.
And there's some rhetoric, and like, and this is also armchairy, but in the other direction. But there's some rhetoric that I find pretty compelling about the idea that like women's promiscuity and all, and like you've talked about makeup and all that stuff being just like pure straight out the gate based on patriarchal, like based on like patriarchy as a means of controlling the like mating upper hand that women kind of already just have. Because a woman can fuck 10 niggas, get pregnant by one, and have 10 fathers to take care of her one kid. It's like, it makes all the sense in the world for women to be like relatively promiscuous if they can fuck men that are attractive to them. So like on paper, it makes a lot of sense.
Like for internal gestation, which is why they say anthropologically pair bonding like makes sense for like internally gestation mammalian species. But yeah, continue, because you're right. Yeah.
What does that mean? If it can be explained in a way that's interesting.
It wouldn't be interesting, but
Okay,
basically,
well,
it's like it's basically just
end
like I basically just scientifically explained what you just said. Like what
Okay,
you just
gotcha.
said wasn't armchair like red pill shit. That is like a thing. So like we pair bond, like we mate like lifetime, because a woman can do that, right? So if I'm pair bonded, I'm more likely to know that child.
Oh,
is
you mean
mine.
so the benefit for men strategically, anthropologically to pair bond is to make sure that she don't fuck nobody else, and this is my baby kind of
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm hedging my bet that this child is mine because like we've 100% been together.
Because I've been looking at her 24/7, 365 just to make sure.
Yeah.
Hey, you good? All right. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So I see some elements there of that. Let's see what else we got. Yeah. So my just final bit would be like, I think he's the dumbass in this situation. I don't know if he's an asshole. I think he's stupid and didn't think something through. But I can't call him an asshole for thinking, because it didn't seem like he didn't give a shit about his wife. It seemed like his plan was for everybody to get fucked. For her to get dick and for him to get pussy. He just didn't. Now, it would have been, I would totally, if he was getting pussy and she wasn't getting dick and he still wanted to do it, or if they both were, but he was still mad at her for getting dick, even though he's getting pussy, then I would be more on y'all's side. But like, it seemed like his plan was just for both of us to be getting this like itch scratched. And turns out, like, not only am I not getting pussy, but my wife ain't even here for me to fuck her. Like, that seems like I feel like, yeah,
he's
most
like,
people
if I'm not getting my itch scratched, can't nobody fucking get their itch scratched. That's how I'm
what
like,
a relationship is. That's what relationships are. There's all kinds of little stalemates like that, of like, we're making an equal contribution of sacrifices to one another. That's normal shit. That's what everything is. If you can't, then I won't. We can go down the list of everything in a relationship, and it can be framed that way. I'm happy to stick by that one.
Give me an example, because I and not because I'm like outwardly disagreeing. It's just because I'm like legitimately curious on what situations in a relationship have to be that kind of stalemate.
Don't have to be, but like lots of stuff. So it might be it might be going out, right? So if one partner has like a very busy schedule to where they don't have a whole bunch of time, and so when they are at home, they want to hang out with their partner. The other partner has a job that gives them a lot of flexibility, so they can go out a bunch. And so they say to their partner, hey, look, I want you to set aside time because I don't get to go out. I want you to, during the time that we're both at home, prioritize hanging out with me. Because I can't go out during those times. Yeah, it's not perfect, but during those times, I want you to be here to meet a need with me.
It's completely null and void, because in that situation, you literally said like a partner could literally, outside of a very small window, could go out as much as they want. So it's not saying like, if my itch can't be scratched, nobody's itch can be scratched. It's saying like, Like, sometimes like hang out with me. like that's two completely different things.
I think it. Yeah, no, you're right. It's not a great example, but I feel like monogamy in general is kind of that. Like most people aren't monogamous because they don't want to fuck anybody else. People are monogamous because they don't want their partner to fuck anybody else. So that you do a stalemate and you say, I won't fuck anybody as long as you don't fuck anybody. I think that's the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it would have been an issue if like he was like having sex with prostitutes.
I don't understand the question.
Like if he couldn't get like draws from dating, right?
Mm.
Do y'all think it would have been an issue if he would have started having just paying for sex?
Like an issue.
You think that might have changed the dynamic in any way? And we don't have to stay on this long. That was just a thought I had. Yeah.
No, for sure. I'm just trying to
I
understand.
think it's a fair one.
Premises. Yeah. Like, are you saying
he's not getting draws?
No, I understand.
And he has
what
an issue with. Okay.
You say I don't understand what you're saying, and then he repeats it, and you're like, "Well, I understand what." I'm just fucking.
Yeah,
with
well,
you.
yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
fucking with
Because I said I don't understand it. And he just said the same sentence again, and I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm still confused because you haven't clarified the thing but I haven't clarified what I was confused about." So
Yeah.
you said an issue, and I'm at. Are you saying do I find a moral issue with it? Do I think he would have an emotional issue with doing that? Do you think she would have an emotional issue with it? So whose issue?
Maybe like an emotional issue, or do you think that would be like, or would that change how you morally view the situation?
Me personally, yeah, I think. Well, I'm very on the fence on the whole. I'm not exactly sure where I fall with the prostitution thing, so I'm not quite sure yet. I don't have a.
I don't know. That would be tough. My wife getting all dolled up every night and not coming home till the early morning.
Also, the dolled up thing. I understand where homeboy's coming from with that one too. Nah, I do. That was crazy.
You've talked about this before.
Yeah. I've been in that exact situation, and
Yeah.
I showed my ass a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like, yeah, I still want to feel like if we open it up, I still want to feel. I want the relationship to feel invigorated. Like that's kind of part of the goal. Is that I don't want to feel like you stop fucking me to explore other dick, and now you're not even interested in me for the most part. Like I want it to be like a cool. I want it to be like this other dick is like a palate cleanser. So like your desire should be still and maybe even increased for me, because I feel like that's the energy I'm coming with to an extent. So if that's not happening, if I'm going, you in the honeymoon phase with this nigga, like come on, that's crazy, that's disrespectful. You honeymooning with another nigga while we married, that's crazy to me. I'm not saying this, I get where old boy's coming from. I'm not throwing him up the bus on that.
I understand that too.
Like, because if you start dressing up to go out with niggas, we need to start going on dates again. We need to start going on first dates again, babe. Like, you need to get dressed up.
Check this out, because I've experienced a situation where, like, and a lot of times in relationships, like things might get a little bit stagnant, and both people get comfortable, or like just from a man's point of view, or from my point of view, dealing with someone, like they're comfortable around me. They can just be themselves around me, which is a huge compliment. Like, I want you to be comfortable around me. Like, no matter what you're wearing, no matter what you got on, you got makeup, no makeup, I still think you look beautiful.
I get it.
But I did kind of start feeling like at one point where it's like, you kind of might feel like they don't put forth any effort for you anymore. And that's kind of like the whole, like, because like, they say, well, we don't go out like that. Well, it's like, well, we've gone out, because I've taken you to like the same places where you and your friends went, and you got dressed up for them on your girls' night. Like, I mean,
Yes,
it's just like super casual around me all the time. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, you get me riled up, bro. I'm getting triggered right
It's
now.
for her, Eddie. It's for her.
That doesn't
for
make
her.
sense.
Only
Wherever
her.
she at, that's where her is. How is for her, but she at the house and it's still her? That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. That's illogical. But yeah, no, I think I agree with that. We'll need to close it out around here. So any closing remarks? Any thoughts? Concerns? Your shoulder's looking kind of high, Alvin. How you feeling? What's going on?
Just pursed up on my chair. I got uncomfortable.
Okay. I will say you always say it however it is, and that shit is a strength that I look to cultivate. Well, look, folks, if you see your wife asking her deadbeat baby daddy for shit when you got everything handled, you could be saying a red flag. But at the same time, if you stupid enough to think that your wife can't get more dick than you get pussy, you just waving a red flag. Come on, brother. Think for a second. Think for a second. It's been waving a red flag podcast.
Your wife can get more pussy and more dick than you can, buddy. I'm sorry.
That's a bet. She can get any type of genitalia more than you. It's not unless you're Chris Hemsworth and she's, well, all women are beautiful, so I can't put a slot there, but I'm sure you can think of someone. Then it's not possible for you, bro. Follow us on Patreon if you want to see the bonus episodes. We're putting more and more of those up. It'll eventually be every week. And if you want to be on the lives and chat with us and shit, like, subscribe to this, tell folks about the fucking pod, comment what you think, da 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 da. We'll see y'all next week. Peace, be safe. You know what I'm saying? Merry Christmas. See y'all soon.
It's a red flag.